Beneath the sleepy town of Eldridge lay a labyrinthine network of tunnels, remnants of an old mining operation long since abandoned. Stories about these forgotten passages abounded, but they were mostly dismissed as local folklore. That was until Sarah, an aspiring journalist, decided to explore them for an article about the town's history. Armed with a flashlight and a handheld camera, she descended into one of the tunnels from an entrance hidden behind an old, decaying barn. The air was thick with damp, and the walls glistened with moisture. Sarah's heart raced as her footsteps echoed eerily. The further she ventured, the more oppressive the darkness became, broken only by the narrow beam of her flashlight. She found carvings in the tunnel walls, strange symbols she couldn't decipher. Without warning, the ground beneath her gave way, and she plummeted into a deeper, uncharted section of the tunnel. Sarah landed with a thud, her flashlight clattering away. She fumbled in the darkness until she retrieved it, finding herself in a cavernous chamber filled with an array of ancient relics. At the far end of the chamber stood an ornate stone altar, covered in dusty, cobweb-laden artifacts. Drawn to the altar, she noticed an old, leather-bound book, its pages yellowed with age. She opened it, only to find it written in a language she couldn't understand. Suddenly, she felt an icy wind whip through the chamber, extinguishing her light. Incantations whispered through the air, voices that seemed to come from the very walls. Panic set in as the whispers grew louder, more insistent. In a desperate attempt to escape, Sarah fled, stumbling through the dark. But the tunnel seemed to shift, the paths twisting and turning in ways that defied logic. Breathless and shaking, she finally saw a dim light ahead. She burst into what she thought was the barn entrance, but instead, she found herself in the middle of Eldridge in broad daylight. Townsfolk stared at her with wide eyes. She tried to explain where she had been, but no words came out. Her mouth moved soundlessly. A man approached her, holding a newspaper, the headline reading, "Journalist missing for decades found alive in tunnels." The date on the newspaper was 20 years in the future. Sarah's blood ran cold as she realized that for her, time had stood still, but the world had moved on without her. The whispers of the tunnel had trapped her in a supernatural limbo, her story lost in the folds of time itself.